Hey, each year, around 15,000 Aussies travel abroad to get better teeth, bigger breasts and tighter tummies. But there is one procedure that blokes are now flocking to and one location dominating the trade.
Each year, millions of people travel to Türkiye to marvel at the Hagia Sophia or get lost in the Grand Bazaar. But the country's newest attraction, hairlines. Türkiye has quickly become the world's hair transplant hub, with an estimated 5,000 clinics offering 5-star stays and promising luscious results.
Lots of influencers now getting flown over to Turkey. They might give the influencer the best team that they've got to have a fantastic transplant, but you might be left with a team that's very inexperienced when you go and have that transplant done yourself. And the one thing they do is really good advertising.
I'm a pretty boy, I'm stunning.
Most hair I've had in almost 7 years.
We received 5-star accommodation, hotel transfers, a translator. So we're very, very lucky.
At 22, Tim noticed his hairline receding, trying everything from Rogaine to laser to preserve it.
And some of those did work, but after a while, they're not what you would say were permanent fixes. I remember I'd wake up and look in the mirror, especially once I started shaving my head. I didn't recognise myself, and that was a part of who I am.
For 15 years, he battled baldness, and in July 2023, he chose to get a hair transplant in Istanbul.
First and foremost, because of the affordability. We felt that going to Turkey was a bit more accessible for us.
In Türkiye, a typical hair transplant costs between $2,800 and $7,000. Tim paid $5,000 for 5,000 grafts. In Australia, he was quoted 30 grand.
We didn't want to pick the wrong company or that something would go wrong in a foreign country. But I guess what alleviated that nervousness was just the amount of research we did.
Each year, 1.8 million people travel to Türkiye for medical procedures like transplants, cosmetic surgery, ophthalmology, oncology and dental. The Turkish medical market is estimated at $3.97 billion US, and it's set to soar to 8.2 in the next 5 years.
Hotels, cars, limousines to and from the hotel, airport. To be honest, it made me feel like a king.
Tyrone was just 15 when his hair started thinning.
It was kind of like a bullet to the heart. How could I grow it back? Or if I was just gonna have to go bald.
He rarely left the house without a hat.
It never came off my head. Half the time I would literally sleep with the hat.
Tyrone had 4,200 grafts and had his teeth done too, paying 11 grand for the teeth and 2,400 for the hair, which included an 8-night stay in Istanbul. But the night before, he got cold feet.
The day of the procedure, I was shitting bricks. I spoke to a few people that went to the same clinic. They said it was a lot of pain, so I was a bit scared and I almost pulled out that day.
Doctors in Istanbul have reported a 70% rise in demand for hair transplants from Aussie men. But local specialists say there's a reason overseas procedures are so cheap.
Usually because there's nobody clinical doing the procedure itself. They're managing to cut some corners as well with getting very cheap tools and essentially not using some of the single-use tools that we like to use per surgery. They might reuse them on patients.
Dr. Oz has been servicing Aussie scalps for 5 years.
Get a fair share of our patients, unfortunately, coming back from Turkey, either immediately, they've got bad infections that we have to deal with here, or when the results are supposed to be at its prime in 12 months, they might only have 5% growth.
He's seen cases where hair was over-harvested, poor hair angulation and unnatural-looking regrowth. And when qualified surgeons don't do the procedure, it can have tragic outcomes.
There's been a couple of cases over the last 12 months where, men have unfortunately committed suicide because it looked very unnatural and people were making fun of them. So it has a massive impact.
So for those considering taking the plunge,
it's a life-altering procedure. If a hair transplant is done wrong, a lot of the times it's lifelong and you have to live with it. So take your time, don't rush it, don't fall for any fancy promotions that are online, and come and see somebody in Australia.
It can have a significant impact on how you feel about yourself and your confidence. There's no shame in it.
Yeah, do what you want to make yourself feel good. Just do the research.
Don't you
It's
love
like
the
us putting,
Australians saying, go see someone in Australian? Yeah, we would, but it's 10 times the price.
Well, they're starting to lower prices
because of this.
Oh, are
to
they?
compete. I mean, I don't know how close it's going to be and how easy it would be to get it. But yeah, that's what's beginning to happen. And this isn't an area of medicine that's, you know, where there's no profit margin, let's put it that way.
Yeah, right. And soon robots will be able to do it.
What?
Like
Get you
my
fake it. I can't wait for
grandmother
that.
darning socks.
Exactly.
They can do our faces next. Darn our
I'm
skin
all
behind
for
our
it.
ears.
I just think it's underestimated for
Totally.
men if they lose their hair. And you two you've got thick
I love
hair
the look
privilege.
of a bald head. I
Hey, do you
like
know
a
what?
bald
All
head.
I'll say is this, Istanbul, one of my favourite cities in the world.
There we go.
That's all I'm going to say.
You always